Minister, welcome. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks to be here and all your viewers of Morning Live.
Indeed. Minister, tell me, how are you feeling now? How does it feel, like we say, 3 days later?
Yeah, today I think it's better than Thursday. Thursday was terrible. I was there in the family until about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
It was devastating news, even though all of us knew that this day was going to come, as the President has said. But then at the moment that it came, it had a devastating impact, because Mandela is part of the history of South Africa. As former President Mbeki said, his passing on was like the passing on of an era.
Yeah.
So we're moving into another era now in South Africa to consolidate what he stood and fought for all his life.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously there's lots of things that need to be private, and at that time on Thursday night when Mandela finally closed his eyes and went home, that is a moment, of course, that will only be shared with the family, and those events are for them. But you were there. What did it feel like in the house? What was the emotion?
It was a somber mood. The whole family was there. Mrs. Graça Machel, Winnie Mandela, all the children, except the children that were still abroad, as you know, since they came yesterday morning. So I think it was very devastating. But as I'm saying, everybody was accepting that this day was going to come. So there has been a lot of psychological preparation for all the family members and all of us as members of the broader family in the ANC.
Yeah. Let's go back to your first meeting of Mandela. We've been asking everybody this question. What was it like the first time you met him?
Well, I was on Robben Island, but I never met him while I was still in jail on Robben Island.
Yeah.
I only met him for the first time in 1990 when he was visiting Durban. At that time, I was the chair of the ANC in Southern Natal. And since that day, we've been having a very close relationship, both political and also at a personal level.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the clip of the 27th of April 1994 when he cast his vote in my constituency in Durban.
Yes.
There's a young man behind him with a big afro and a moustache.
That's you.
Yeah.
A big man with an afro and moustache. How times have changed.
Yes.
Oh, man. But those are, you know, let's talk about that. When that vote was cast, it's something we haven't really spoken about. And why he did it in Durban. And, you know, I was having this conversation with our cameraman who was here in studio yesterday, who was there at the time as well. After he cast his vote, he went somewhere. Talk to us about this.
Well, it was very profoundly historically significant that he came to Durban, but not only in Durban, but to Inanda,
yeah,
where John Langalibale Dube is resting. Because John Langalibale Dube was the first president of the African National Congress who was elected in absentia on the 8th of January 1912. So we felt that it was going to be very significant for President Mandela, who was the president of the ANC, to cast his vote at the place where Dube lie in rest.
Yeah.
And also to give a message that the struggle that they started in 1912 has almost been completed, because the dignity of all South African people, both black and white, is now to be realized by casting that vote for the first time in history.
That's amazing. Did he go to the gravesite afterwards?
Indeed,
and he
went
sent
to
him the message.
gravesite and spoke to John Dube, indicating the baton that he has received from him, that he's going to be taking it over into another level, that the mission that was started in 1912 is almost complete. As we all know, that political freedom without economic emancipation is meaningless. But that first phase of the struggle was virtually complete when Mandela cast his vote.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, where he almost goes to the first leader and says, it's happened, we are free, we've done it, you know, and reporting back to his leader. And that was what I've gathered from speaking to people, is that as wonderful as Hadebe was, he always seemed to give credit to others around him, and he always didn't necessarily want to take the glory for things.
Well, Mandela was larger than life, but I think the story of Mandela cannot be completely told if you don't tell the story of the other two great leaders.
Yeah.
Walter Sisulu, the man of the people, is the one who brought all things together, who modernized the ANC as we know it today. These were the young men in the 40s, led by Walter Sisulu. He threw in people like Oliver Tambo and Nelson Mandela, Lembede, in order to form the ANC Youth League, to change the ANC from an organization of deportations, of petitions, of protest and so on, to make it a militant organization. It is for that reason that in 1949, the program of action of the ANC Youth League revolutionized the ANC. And all those young leaders, all of them were unanimous that Walter Sisulu must become the Secretary General of the ANC.
Yeah.
But Mandela has always been the chosen one, because in all those moments in history, he was also being put forward. If you recall, in 1952, he was made the volunteer-in-chief for the Defiance campaign that was going to ensure that they defy all the apartheid laws. When things changed in the early 60s, when the peaceful methods were no longer useless, were no longer useful and futile, as he said, Mandela was the chosen one as well to become the first commander-in-chief of Umkhonto weSizwe, the military wing of the ANC. When things changed as well, after he was on Robben Island for 27 years, when he realized that time for negotiations had come, he was the one who seized the moment. That's why we were able to get our freedom in 1994.
And in 1994 arrives, and of course you'd been in prison, as we say. You were sentenced to 10 years on Robben Island. After a successful 12-day hunger strike, you were released in 1990.
Yes, indeed. At the time, too, it was planned by the leadership that was there on Robben Island,
Yeah.
led by Ndate Mqwai and others, that we need to accelerate the process of the release of all political prisoners, because the regime at the time was playing games. On the one hand, they were saying that they're releasing all political prisoners, but at the same time keeping some. So that process played a very critical role in accelerating the process of the release of all political prisoners.
Oh. When 1994 came around and the first democratic elections were there, you served as the Minister of Public Works under Nelson Mandela. What was he like as a president to work for and work under?
Well, he was a very hard master, Nelson Mandela. He wanted delivery at all the time. That is why before 1994, the ANC had a special conference where we adopted a document called the Reconstruction and Development Program, Ready to Govern. At that time, we were almost ready to govern South Africa. So he appointed people that he thought would be able to put their shoulder in the wheel in order to bring about the democracy that he has been fighting for all his life for. So as the first Minister of Public Works, I didn't even know what public works was.
Yeah.
But there I was in this big office, started a program of ensuring that we empower our people on the instructions of Nelson Mandela.
Just give us a sense of the real man. You know, it's been so lovely talking to people, because we see that is about him. He was a real man. It was almost as if what you see is what you get. Was that the reality? Was he easy to read?
Mandela was larger than life, as I was saying, but he was a very simple man.
Yeah.
He will give you firm instructions, but at some times he'll be able to know and feel that this is a man who's like your father, giving you guidance on what to do. So all those moments we continue to cherish as South Africans, and those of us who were young members of cabinet at the time, like Trevor Manuel and others.
Yeah. I want to keep you here for a little bit and just talk to you as well about recently this movie, this Long Walk to Freedom, and your reaction to it, which I know you were quoted in newspapers as saying that you cried many times during this movie. So I want you to think about that, and let's keep you here for a second. I just want to cross over to one of our reporters, Gillian Pillay. She's actually outside the Houghton home, where Madiba passed away on Thursday night at 10 minutes before 9. So many people have actually been coming to the house and dropping things off. And, you know, it's just quite incredible, Gillian. We're looking at the people gathering behind you as we sit here at 8:45 on a Sunday morning. What's it like there this morning?
And as you're saying, people are continuing to stream in here, people from all walks of life. But we're seeing a lot of cyclists. You know, today is Sunday. We see a lot of people taking to the road, either jogging or cycling, and many are making this special trip. But one particular person we're being joined by is 67-year-old Rodney Ackerman. For Rodney Ackerman, it's a special trip. Rodney, why is this morning's trip so special?
Well, what is special for me is that I've actually had a health issue and I haven't been riding much lately. And I've started doing a bit of light training, but just around where I stay. And when I was listening to the stories of Mandela and people talking about him and what he had done and his commitment to doing what had to be done, I decided that rather than just listen to those stories, I should actually change what I'm doing with my life. So I decided I was going to make this ride this morning, which for me is a bit of a stretch. In cycling terms, it's not. But for me, it's a bit of a stretch at the moment. So I called my daughter, and she decided to cancel her ride and come with me. So the two of us came here this morning to be part of this whole emotional celebration of his life.
Yes, indeed, a celebration of his life. What has touched you? This is the first time you've been here. What has touched you by what you've seen around here and the people maybe that you've interacted with?
You know, there's such a feeling. It's a feeling of love. That's what I get from his life, is forgiveness and love. And there's sort of a tranquility here. You want to be here just to experience it. And that's what I'm enjoying at the moment here. So I'm really glad I came.
You said Hadebe has inspired you to maybe be more committed towards fitness. What would be your message to other people who are in your position, who haven't been here yet, who haven't gone to places of significance, where many people are converging across the country, across the globe?
Well, for me, one can just listen to the stories and feel the emotion, which is hard to escape, or one can take him and what he is, what he became, and take that and change your life. So that's what I think his gift is to us. But if we don't do something different with our lives, nothing's actually going to change. And I think for our country and for the world, it's time for us to be doing different things and treating people differently. And that's the message I got from him, even though it's uncomfortable. He was prepared to do that. Even though it's uncomfortable, go and do it. So that's the message I'm getting, and that's what I would urge people to consider doing.
Leanne, it's a story of love here, a feeling of love, an atmosphere of love, many being inspired by what Hadebe has done, and that's possibly why they're making their way here to give back for this icon that has given us so much. Back to the studio.
Yeah, most definitely. I can see that. I can also see a little boy behind you doing a shup. He's doing a good job there. I have to tell you something. Gillian, turn around, have a look at him. He's doing a big thumbs up behind you. Yeah, and let's cross back to Gillian quickly.
There was some boy doing a shup. Where is he?
Nah, we've lost her. Can you see? There was a little guy behind you. Can you see him? He's busy doing the shup. Yes. There he is. Look at him. I spotted him. All right, there you go. That's so cute. All right, those are the scenes outside of the Mandela residence in Gauteng. All right, joining me now as we continue our conversation is Jeff Hadebe, who is the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development in our government now. During Mandela's time, he was the Minister of Public Works at the time. We're reading articles and obviously many people flocking to go and see this movie, The Long Walk to Freedom. But when you saw it, you were quoted that day after as having cried in the movie, not once, but several times. What emotion did you feel watching that?
Well, watching the scene of Mandela on Robben Island, breaking stones there,
yeah,
it really evoked a very emotional turmoil within me, reflecting that this is the man who's a global icon, but had to endure such hardship, not for one day, but for many decades under the obnoxious system of apartheid. The other scene too that really moved me was that of Winnie Mandela, seeing how the apartheid system harassed her and her children, trying to break the whole family apart, by the resilience and the resoluteness with which she fought the system, and the manner in which the actress portrayed Winnie Mandela. It really brought tears into my eyes, indicating that the struggle, this freedom that we have won now in 2013 was not, we should never take it for granted. There are many people like Mandela, Winnie, and many other unsung heroes who contributed with their lives so that you and I must be free in South Africa.
Absolutely. And just, you know, in terms of people going there and watching this movie and getting a real sense of what Mandela was like, did you feel they captured him? Is that what he was like?
I think they really captured him. even though sometimes, as you know, sometimes movies can be like Hollywood, but overall, I think they captured the man, how he fought the struggle, how he strategized for the freedom of our people, his association with Walter Sisulu and other top leaders of the ANC, how he seized the moment, as I was saying earlier on, of that the time had come now for negotiations to begin in South Africa, and how he garnered all of us. Some of us were very militant in Natal. We wanted to continue with the armed struggle, but he said, no. If I'm your leader, you are going to listen to me. We need to ensure that we lay down our arms and start the process of negotiations in earnest. And that's precisely what happened, which is contrary to what many people had believed, that a man who has spent 27 years on a fascist dungeons will come out and call for war and call for revolution, but he never did such thing. He called for peace. He called for ensuring that we build a really united South Africa.
Wow. Let's talk about your personal life now with Mandela. And something that you were telling me that was quite interesting was during your wedding to Bridget. He actually spoke at your wedding.
Indeed, he was our guest of honor. I felt very privileged, together with my wife Bridget, that the whole President of the Republic and the icon was speaking in our wedding, so which he actually did.
Yeah.
And we felt very grateful, and those memories will remain with us forever.
What did he say? I mean, what were the words that sort of he gave? Did he give you some pearls of wisdom on how to deal with women?
Yeah, he gave some stern warning. He said, hey, Bridget, if Jeff causes you any problem, don't hesitate to call me. I will change and reshuffle the cabinet.
I love that. You were never reshuffled?
Never.
So you're obviously a good husband.
Indeed.
Bridget never phoned him, did she? Did you have some lovely family moments together with him and the family, with you and Bridget?
Yes, definitely. Where every 1st of January, we always go and with President Mandela, except in the last 2 years when he was getting very sick. We'll go to Kunu, we'll go to Cape Town, we'll go to Horton with him. And also in many times when he was having his international guest, for example, in 1997, when he was promoting the Blue Train with Archbishop Tutu, he asked us to join him on the Blue Train to Cape Town with such celebrities like Quincy Jones and Naomi Campbell, and things like that.
Wow.
We are very close to the family, Maputo and things like that.
Fantastic. Another thing, it seems that you and Hadebe used to have a thing when it came to weddings and women, because you were asked to chair the 80th birthday celebrations of Hadebe. But that was a very special occasion, because it wasn't only his 80th birthday. At that occasion, he married his wife, Graça Machel, as well.
There's one moment, too, that will live with me for a very long time, because he did indeed ask me to chair the 80th birthday in 1998, where we had a very big party for his 80th birthday at the Kalaka Estate, and we also organized 2 concerts to celebrate his 80 years in Durban as well as in Johannesburg. Yeah. But as you know, as we have said, the 80th birthday turned out to be his wedding celebration day.
Yeah, I mean, to Graça Machel, who has been by his side this entire time.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we look at 2 very strong and beautiful women. We talk about Winnie Madikizela Mandela and Graça Machel, who, you know, South Africans turn to as almost being the mothers of the nation right now.
Yeah. When on Thursday, when the Defence Force came to take his body, I saw the whole family there at Horton, Mandela, Winnie Mandela, as well as Graça Machel together there. It was extraordinary to see these 2 powerful women standing there in remembrance of their husband and former husband.
Don't you find it incredible how this one individual brings people together? Is that something that you always found as well within your time with him, is that even when there was friction, because I can imagine the amount of friction that there was within government and within structures where you, like you say in Natal, you guys wanted to keep on fighting, but he said no.
It shows the character of the man, that when he believed on his cause, he will do it. That's why I always love his quote, which he always used to say, that he's the master of his faith as well as the captain of his soul. What he believes in, he does it. What you see, you get it. So that's Mandela.
That's beautiful. Minister, before I let you go, what's your final thoughts on Mandela, and just also your message to South Africans at this time?
Well, my message is that Mandela's history is the history of South Africa. He is the man who dominated South African politics for more than 60 years. He is the one who brought us where we are together with Oliver Tambo and Walter Sisulu. They are the architect of our new democratic society. They built this foundation for our transition to the next phase, and that is the economic emancipation of our people. So I think the best tribute that we can pay to Mandela and his generation is to take up the spear of political freedom and translate it into the economic emancipation of all people of South Africa, so that the economy must reflect the demographics of our South African rainbow nation.
Thank you so much for talking to us and for reminiscing and for sharing these amazing moments that you had with Nelson Mandela. Our Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Jeff Hadebe. Thank you.
Thanks.
Having a look at this magnificent photograph, I need to share it with you. Peter, this is actually going to be the cover of Time magazine. Have a look at that. If we can zoom in and we can just show some of the viewers out there. This is going to be on shelves around the world tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and this is, of course, their dedication issue to Mandela. This is the 6th time that Mandela has appeared on the cover of the Time magazine. And to take you to the history of this photograph, this was actually taken in Sweden, and it was his very first trip out of the country. In fact, he was released just a month before this photo was taken
and
in
he
Sweden.
met his longtime friend on that day, Oliver Tambo,
Wow.
who was recuperating in a hospital
In Sweden.
Yeah.
So this photo was taken then in Sweden when he met Oliver Tambo.
Yes.
That's amazing. I'd love to know the context of this photo.
I was not there, but
I
I'm
know.
sure
But I mean,
there
it's
will
just
be
got to-
historians who will be
They'll
able
tell
to
you
explain
this.
it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Wow, thank you for that bit of information. Isn't that stunning, Peter?